Hey everyone, it has been a while. I have been out of commission for a while. I'm just recently kind of getting back to what would be considered normal. I thought I would do some digital drawing to try to get back into it, back to creating. So why not kind of go where I somewhat started from and just drawing superheroes. And here I'm just going to focus on some of the men from Marvel Universe. And first up is Wolverine. He's kind of pretty much my favorite. Not my first superhero. Mine was, of course, Superman and then Spider-Man, but when I was introduced to the X-Men, just Wolverine pretty much became my favorite. I'm kind of drawing his classic yellow and blue classic suit, and I'm just kind of filling in some of the blacks right now. And I kind of have the colors that I chose, if you see on the top right of the canvas area. And just filling in the colors, I kind of select areas, and in a new layer, that's where I place the colors. I select it using the wand, and then I modify it by extending usually by about 3 pixels. And now I'm just adding some of the value. Again, I'll just kind of work from one place to another, adding some of the darker areas, some of the lighter areas. But yeah, I usually kind of just want to start with the character that I know fairly well, and that would be Wolverine. And right now I'm just adding some hatching. I don't know. Doing digitally, I would prefer to do more with the values using lights and darks, but it's kind of good to add some hatching. Added some other values into it. Now I'm kind of giving him his 5 o'clock shadow, just little dots. And this gets to be a little tedious when you're just kind of giving him stubble all over and trying not to make it look all consistent. And then I kind of just going around and adding some more lines and details. And now I'm ready to sign this off. Here's the finished Wolverine. And let's move on to the next one, which, if you can't tell yet, is the Incredible Hulk. Just working on the outline after I do a little sketch. I don't try to add in any of the thicker outlines just yet. I just want to kind of get it outlined first, and now just laying down some of the flat colors. And when I start getting into more details, that's when I try to make some of the lines on the outer part of the Hulk a little bit thicker. But yeah, started with some middle tones, and now I'm just adding the dark and highlights of the hair, highlights in some of the darker areas of the Hulk. Which character do you guys like? Let me know down in the comments. Who's your favorite Marvel character? And if I haven't drawn them, maybe I'll give it a shot. But you're going to have to let me know which character you like. And watch till the end, because I have drawn about 6 characters, and one of them might be one of your favorites. But right now I'm just kind of working on the Hulk. I think I'm just still adding some different values, working on some of the details of the eyes, adding the little reflection in the eye, and some darker lines. I think, yeah, I'm adding some little bit of hatching here. And I decided to make this part of his face a little bit darker. One thing that I do like when I'm adding the hatching lines is it kind of adds a little bit of texture to the drawing, you know, so where it doesn't quite look so smooth. That's one of the reasons I kind of do add the hatching. And here I am signing this one. Now, sticking with bigger characters, I am drawing the Thing. If you've paid attention to movie reveals and teasers, you all know that Fantastic Four will be coming out, I would say relatively soon. Are you guys looking forward to it? What are your thoughts about this version of the Fantastic Four? I liked the 2 movies with, you know, Chris Evans as the Human Torch and Jessica Alba's Invisible Woman. You know, I thought they did an overall decent job. The one character that they seem to have difficulty dealing with is Doctor Doom. As far as I know, Doctor Doom has never really had powers. I believe he has studied some of the mystical arts and uses some technology almost like Iron Man in his suits. What I wanted to do a little bit different with the Thing here, wanted to use a different brush to try to give him more of a rocky texture, and I'll get to that a little bit farther down. But I also wanted to thicken some of the lines to where it looks like, you know, some areas are a little bit thicker than others. And since he has a large brow above his eyes, I think it should be relatively dark. And I'll come back and darken in some of the eyes here later, just working on some of the other different values. Now I'm trying to add some of the darker values. I think this is where I started using a different brush to try to add more of a rough, rocky texture. And I kind of go back between some of the different colors, go over some of the other areas. Now this is where I'm working on his eye. I think I'll be adding the reflection in it soon, but still trying to give him more of that rough, rocky texture. And even though he's pretty rough and mean looking, he's actually a kind character. You know, definitely a fan favorite. And this time I try to do a little something different by adding a little color to the background and signing this one off. Next one was kind of a request. So here I'm drawing Deadpool, trying to give him a somewhat more of a 3/4 look, where the others were more portrait style. The reason I decided to go with more of a 3/4 view and have him kind of looking at the viewer is since he is known to break the fourth wall. And I think I tried to go with a darker red instead of a brighter one that's not so saturated. He's fun to draw. I don't know if I would classify him as one of my top 10, but you know, he kind of makes things somewhat interesting. Let me know if you prefer the comic version of Deadpool or the Ryan Reynolds version. Do you think Ryan Reynolds portrays a good Deadpool? Or is it just like another character that he portrays in his movies? Because it seems like a lot of his characters are very similar. Just with Deadpool, he's a superhero and heals really fast, and but the humor is basically very similar. But in this one, I'm just adding the darker values. I added some light areas. I don't think I really added any hatching in this one. Again, what I was trying to do is just kind of do something a little bit, well, drawings that wouldn't take so long. But here in the background, I'm just adding a bunch of splatter. I kind of like how it looks like in the background, and decided to add some of these splatters on Deadpool also. Let me know what you think of that, doing that to the background. But yep, signing this one off. And then moving on to the next one. And this would be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Have him just somewhat looking up. I don't know, I was kind of thinking of maybe I should have, when I finish it, have him like he was hanging upside down, but I can always do that some other time. With this, his eyes in the mask, I kind of like McFarlane's, but I didn't want to go with the huge, bug eyes. I just wanted something a little bit smaller. But here, another tedious part with Spider-Man is doing all the details of the webbing. Once you kind of know the trick to doing it, it can go pretty fast. It's just very tedious because you have to do it pretty much overall most of his body. But now I'm ready to add the colors. Oh, by the way, I did the webs on a different layer. So when I fill in the flat colors, it's just easier to do on one layer instead of trying to select every space in between the webs. And then when I'm finished, then I'll flatten the image where the outline and the webs are one layer. But overall, Spider-Man was kind of fun to draw. Pretty easy, I think. He was one of the easier ones to kind of just get out and finished. Again, this one, I don't believe I did any hatching. It was just a bunch of different values from a very light red or pink to darker reds and close to blacks, just to fill in the different values and kind of added some value to the black area around the masks. And for this background, I decided to also do kind of a big web, and it's pretty easy. What I did was on the special effects, add a stroke to do the webs, and I think it came out pretty good. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. What characters would you suggest me drawing next? And also check the see more in the description. Simo says, be awesome to one another and get to creating.